Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, June 5th, 2017. We're back with our physicist, and we're going to be going over a report that she did, well, not too long ago, and it is in reference to the large blue striped brown dwarf that I was able to capture. And we're going to go directly into her report. And we also have some photographs that I took, well, just a few days ago. And I sent the photographs over to my new friend, Prep Aussie, down in Australia. And we've been collaborating on some photographs. And he sent the photographs back. And there is absolutely no doubt that what I captured, once again, is a solid object off in the distance behind our sun. I do believe these photographs show this object probably about at the 11 o'clock position. But we're going to get into all of that very shortly. Good afternoon, Doctor. How are you? Welcome back.
Thank you, Scott. I'm very well, thank you. And you?
Well, I'm not doing too bad. I have my Red Bull here, my
Very
Red
good.
Bull energy drink, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Good.
I better slow down on these things. I only drink one of them a day, so.
Okay, that's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up your report here real quick because I am anxious to see it. I was just going over some earthquake data before we started our live stream.
Yes.
And it seems that some earthquake activity is starting to pick up, especially in the state of California. I've noticed several magnitude 3. Well, they were close to a magnitude 3, but we know exactly what the USGS has been doing. They immediately downgrade these earthquakes. But what I'm going to do later on today is I'm going to go into each and every one of those earthquakes in California today. Good. And I'm going to look at the data, and I'm going to see what the epicenter was ranging at, because usually it's much higher than what they report. So they're kind of giving us an average on those earthquakes, and there have been several magnitude 5.6, 5.8 earthquakes. I know the western coast of Chile in South America, they're getting hit they're getting hit like every couple of hours. And I'm definitely going to be looking into that. But ladies and gentlemen, this article has to do with me capturing this blue-brown dwarf. And, you know, before we even start this article, ladies and gentlemen, the troll factions, especially over there in the UK, they've claimed that they sent these photographs of mine to a forensic photographer or a forensic photography website. And the information came back that it was a dirty blue towel, hand towel, beach towel, bath towel with bacteria on it. So I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know if that was some type of a stupid parody video, but the bottom line is this is a solid object. We can see very, very closely to the surface, and that's what we were interested in. And that's what this report's going to be about. So go ahead, Doc. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you. If you have a problem with my audio or something like that, just let me know, and I'll try to fix it.
Okay. I will, Scott. Thanks. All right. So you first took pictures of the blue-brown dwarf on May 10th. And then a few days ago, you took these photographs, which gave us a lot more details. So the most amazing thing about this, if you look at it, this is the surface of the object, and you can see quite a few grooves in there. Now, if this object had a gaseous surface or a liquid surface, there would be no way that there would be grooves in it. Only a solid surface can have grooves in it. Because otherwise, if it was a liquid and you form a groove on a liquid, it just fills in almost immediately. The same thing happens with gas. So this means that this object has a solid surface. And not only that, what we see on it does look like dirt. It looks like additional material, could be gaseous material, that's been attached to the surface of this object and seems to be coming off it, like it's shedding material. You can also see quite a few craters. Again, a sign that it's a solid object and it has been impacted by other objects. So this is the most amazing thing, because obviously this looks like a brown dwarf. It's not. I think it's beyond the brown dwarf stage because it doesn't have the thick envelope around it. In fact, I think what it's shedding is probably its envelope. So this object seems to be beyond the brown dwarf star stage, the stage where it can absorb energy from the sun because of its high magnetic field, and then it can start have fusion reactions on its surface and produce light and so on. But this object obviously is not doing that. It's reflecting light. It looks blue, and if we look at it, we can see some shadow on its surface. So it's obviously reflecting light like a planet, but it's shedding its envelope. So here we see again the sort of progression we go through. A main sequence star eventually turns into a white dwarf. The white dwarf turns into a brown dwarf star, and then we end up with this stage. But no one has ever said that brown dwarfs had solid surfaces. I always thought that brown dwarfs were gaseous, had gaseous atmospheres. So this is very surprising to me that this object is solid. It could, what looks like dirt on it may be gaseous in nature. It's probably parts of its ionized gas envelope, because white dwarf stars have it, brown dwarf stars are expected to have it, and perhaps brown dwarfs then shed it. They can no longer hold on to it. All right, so we can scroll down a little bit.
Okay, let me get back to...
Okay, now the other thing we see there, we actually see clouds of material around this object.
Yeah, so I was asked about this cloudiness, or this. They thought it was just out of focus, but in the other photographs, you can clearly see this massive cloud formation streaming from the top of it. It was actually almost like it was going towards the sun. I referred to it as what seemed like an evaporation of either gas or liquid or something. You know what I mean? Like you would boil something on the stove and you create that steam. The other photos, they were pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's very possible that the sun is actually pulling some of the material off this object. Because it seems to me that brown dwarf stars hold on to the envelopes. I mean, we've seen some of them very close to the sun, and they are still one unit. We can see the ring around them, the thick ring, which is their envelope, and they stay as one unit. So obviously those objects are able to hold on to their envelope. But this one seems to have lost the ability to do that. So another star can come up to it and sort of almost pull it off it.
Yeah, because we saw a lot of debris. Yeah. We saw a lot of debris, like large, I don't know, they look like rocks, big, like asteroid-sized rocks coming from the lower bottom side and streaming away from the object, streaming away from the dirty towel.
Yes. So don't forget, I don't think this is about gravity. it's not about the sun's gravity pulling it in. I think all of this has to do with the electric field and the magnetic field of these objects. So what I've discovered by observing them is, of course, that their electric potential energy decreases as they progress through their evolution. And then they grow in size. And they grow in size because they're less able to hold on to the material on the surface. And I think this is what's happened to this object. It's gotten to the point in its life where it is just not able to hold on to any of its gas or any of the debris that it was close to it. And now it's just all coming off it. Look at that. We can see huge amounts of debris there, and we can see the stripes. What the stripes really are is different layers of material. It's thicker at some points than on others. Like on the left side, there's this greenish material. You can see it's quite a thick layer of it. And then we see all the debris out in space. This object is obviously shedding the material on its surface. And we can see a big portion of just blue, where all the material that was there has now come off, and we just see the solid surface. And what do I think the solid surface is? Well, as you know, I believe that these were once stars. How do stars produce their energy and their light? Through fusion reactions. I don't believe they are in the core of the star. I think they are on the surface of the star, and then as the fusion occurs, the material that's created is heavier and therefore sinks down below the surface of the star and accumulates in the core. So when the star reaches the end of its life, what we're supposed to get is the core, the solid core of the object. And this, I think, is what we have here. It's a solid core. That's why it's solid, because it's all the material that the star was able to produce in its final stages of fusion reactions. And it may have been as a white dwarf star. Brown dwarf stars can rejuvenate and have fusion reactions again, it seems. So maybe this star did do that. But it's fascinating, don't you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This photograph here, I did a little bit of work on it because I was trying to bring out the contrast, trying to bring out more of the detail on the surface. And what you see here, this reddish area, this was discolored in the original photograph. This was discolored. Then whenever I added just a little bit of contrast, because as you could see where my cursor is from here all the way across, you can see it's much lighter. The reason why it's lighter is all of this from left to right, all the top of this picture was just one big, it looked like a big gas cloud. It looked like a dust cloud.
Yes.
Excuse me. And that's what prompted me to, I was really trying hard to bring out the object in the photograph. And I was seeing all of the debris just coming off of the back side. And I just assumed that this debris was from this object. Yeah. Because, in the broader picture, this debris that you see here was only near this object. There was nothing else in the wider view of the photograph. It was just black space.
Yes.
So that's why I just assumed that this was coming from this object, breaking off, as you said. It just, it is pretty amazing. And then, I was trying to bring out the surface structure of this object because, I can clearly see raised ridges. It is. It's pretty amazing that this object is out there near our sun,
It is.
or out there somewhere near us,
Mm-hmm.
and it's huge. Now, this is the object that you said that was possibly 3 times the size of Jupiter.
Yes, that's right. When I first calculated it, well, estimated its size, it looked to me to be about 1/3 the size of the sun. Don't forget, the sun is huge. It's a huge object. So an object that is 1/3 the size of the sun is 3.3 times the size of Jupiter. So this object is huge. But what I've discovered is as these objects get weaker, the electric potential energy decreases, they grow in size. But the gravitational field they are able to produce actually decreases. So this is what it looks like to me, is that gravitational fields are electrical potential energy dependent. They are not based on the amount of matter, but on the degree of electric potential energy an object has. So this is amazing, but it's just unbelievable to me because, of course, I've been trained, as all physicists have, to believe that mass and the gravitational force are intrinsic to matter. But from studying these objects, it blows all that out of the water. It's just like you have a whole new view of the universe.
Now,
So this,
I had
yeah.
one question. After looking at this debris,
Yes,
and noticing a lot of debris fields passing through some of the Secchi images, especially I think the H1. Do you think there's and also seeing these big gas clouds?
yes.
These big gas clouds. We were just in one for what seemed like over a week to 10 days, and then it cleared. Do you think there is a high possibility that these objects, or like an object like this, would be creating that scenario of that big gas cloud, all of that debris
Yes.
flying by?
Scott, I think this is not the only object we have in the inner solar system that's shedding huge clouds of gas. I think there are many of them. Don't forget that these brown dwarf stars do not just have their close envelope, they have another cloud beyond that that is more diffuse. And I think they may shed that cloud when they come into the solar system and start being able to produce fusion reactions on their surface after gaining some energy from the sun. So I think this is why there is so much debris and so many clouds of gas in the inner solar system, because so many of these objects have come in. Some of them are in their brown dwarf stage. Some of them are already in their brown dwarf stage where they've not able to rejuvenate anymore and maybe doing the same thing that we see this object doing. So, but either way, either as brown dwarf stars or as brown dwarfs, they all come with lots of material around them. And they are going to shed this material, and it's going to look like huge clouds of gas moving around in the solar system. And then we, of course, we will get the planets as well, because I'm sure some of them will have planetary systems. And I don't know what happens to the planetary systems if they share them as well, if they start orbiting the sun instead of orbiting these stars, like they have been doing as they come in. I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to investigate that.
Ooh, that would be crazy, huh? We would go from having 8 or 9 planets in our solar system to like having like 100.
That's right. Yeah, that would be interesting.
I'm going to move down here just a little bit.
Yeah. So, and then in some of your photographs, as you can see, there is one object there between the blue object and the sun. And that's the typical brown dwarf star characteristics. it looks like a ring cloud, a thick ring cloud. It's got a hole in the middle. The cloud is the envelope around the core of the star. That's the typical brown dwarf star. And as you can see, this one, it looks like it's still dark inside, so it probably hasn't been in the solar system very long. And what will happen is it will have discharges in the cloud first as it builds up its electric potential energy by draining some of the sun. And then eventually it starts being able to have fusion reactions from the surface of the core of the star. But this is the typical brown dwarf star. So this is an amazing picture because we have the huge brown dwarf and we have the brown dwarf star. Look at the difference in size.
Yeah.
It could be that once this brown dwarf star goes through its evolutionary process, it will grow. It might become the same size as the blue brown dwarf eventually.
Absolutely amazing. You know, I was just when we were talking about the debris field.
Yes.
It has been theorized and talked about Nibiru having a mile long or a 1 million mile long debris tail. And because there's really no solid, concrete, positive evidence that shows us this 1 million mile long debris tail coming off of the backside of this planet, which is supposed to be made of rock and iron and nickel. I don't know how they actually came up with that composite.
Yeah.
But, you know, just thinking and going back to that last photograph and how that debris seems to be coming off of that planet, being possibly stripped off of it, maybe, you know, by the sun or whatever force is doing that. Then now it seems to me that it's starting to shed some light on the very high possibilities of the story of Nibiru and the 1 million mile long tail of debris.
Yes.
There may end up being a lot of truth to this.
Yes.
Somewhere down the line. Now, speaking of debris, I know tomorrow we have a near Earth object that is going to be 1 AU, or excuse me, not 1 AU, 1 lunar distance away from us, passing by. I don't know exactly what time I was viewing the near Earth objects, and I just saw, you know, 1 lunar distance, and that should be very interesting. They've been checking on this object. Well, the last I checked, they had already made a lot of observations on this object. And we were seeing a lot of these near Earth objects that were just coming out of nowhere. You know, so that kind of leads me to believe that, you know, if NASA can't see these near Earth objects and they're just coming out of nowhere, what is causing it? We never got to a positive answer about that.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden, I'm checking the near Earth object on the JPL, and now we're starting to see an increase again with the near Earth objects, asteroids, meteors, whatever they may be. But, you know, those are potential threats. Now, you know, one that is 1 lunar distance away, well, that's over 200,000 miles plus. But then again, you know, these guys make mistakes. We've seen the mistake in 2013 in Russia, where they didn't see that object coming in at all. And it caused quite a bit of damage, not even impacting the ground, exploding above in the atmosphere.
Yeah, well, except it wasn't quite exploded. They actually destroyed it, one of their plasma weapons.
Yeah, that's what I figured too, because that object was said to be 45 meters long.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big. And if it didn't burn up in the atmosphere, then why would it explode 15 miles above the surface? Because those were the numbers that were put out there, that the object exploded.
I also actually watched some video where you could actually see a beam coming up behind it.
And striking.
I know yeah, there was like a beam. People were saying, oh, these are UFOs and something like that, because they saw this beam coming up behind the object. But it wasn't a UFO. It's well known that they have these weapons. Like we talked about in the chemtrail article.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, it might have been a good thing that they destroyed that, because even though they found pieces of it, you know, near a lake, an uninhabited area, basically. But if something the size of a bus or something that size, 45 meters, if that would have impacted the ground, or, you know, in a small metropolitan area or a large metropolitan area, wow, that would have been pretty devastating.
It would have been. It would have killed a lot more people. It would have killed a lot of people. It would have caused extensive damage if it had actually impacted the ground. So, yeah, the fact that it supposedly exploded in the air was a very good thing. It already caused quite a bit of damage, even though the explosion was in the air. So
yeah, thank goodness for that.
Indeed.
So yes, these were pretty fantastic.
Yes, these are amazing. Can you actually imagine what we have here, Scott? I think we get so used to having this kind of evidence, but I was so happy just in 2007 when I observed the first brown dwarf star. But now we actually have images of a brown dwarf and brown dwarf stars around the sun. This is absolutely amazing. If the whole world could listen to us, the discoveries we have made, the evidence we have it should be changing the world.
Oh, there's no doubt. That's why they censor us. That's why they put the kibosh on us.
Yeah.
You know what I want to do is we're at the end of this quick report, but I want to go ahead and
it was a short one.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and go into those photographs that were sent back in to me. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. That were sent in back to me by Prep Aussie. Man, he's fantastic down there in Australia. And he's going to be joining us eventually. He's taking care of some business, but he's going to be joining us sometime here in the very, very near future. And he's going to join me and the doctor. And we're going to go over a bunch of photographic evidence that he's obtained. And, you know, he's just absolutely fantastic at picking these objects out of photographs and the way that he does it. And these were photographs that I took a few days ago, and I've already published them in a short video. And I went ahead and I emailed the photographs to him. And I said, please, you know, do your magic on these photographs and tell me what you see. And try to bring out the image a little bit. And this is one of the first images that he sent back, and he just basically did a screenshot for me of the object. And he says, now you can see the planet at the back. The planet is actually causing the sun disturbance, as it is literally sucking the magnetics from the sun. That's why it is covered by this haze. Now, first time I emailed the photographs to him, he returned the email jokingly, and he said, Scott, why is the sun square?
Yeah.
You know, so it's a possibility that You know, that could be the sun simulator. It could be who knows what these people are doing up there.
Well, one thing's for sure, the natural sun is not square. So this cannot be a natural sun. That's why we then go into the sun simulation devices, which they put in front of the sun in order to try and hide these objects. So I think that may be the case here. So it's very interesting indeed that that object seems enveloped in the sun's corona, as if it is, as he said, sucking plasma out of the sun. And he is right, it's the magnetic field. So this object has a strong enough magnetic field to pull plasma right out of the sun. It's all to do with the magnetic fields, nothing to do with the gravitational field. So yes, we can see that. It's amazing to actually see, and it's huge. This one is really large compared with the sun. It's not as large as the blue-brown dwarf, I don't think. It's not a third of the size of the sun. If we look at it, maybe 1/6 the size of the sun.
That's a pretty big object. I mean, I was able to pick it out of my photograph instantaneously. And once I downloaded the photographs back to my computer and I pulled them up and I was like, okay, what is that? You know, then I started working with the photograph and zooming in and trying to clarify the photograph, and bingo, there it was, you know, and I could see how it was enveloped, which I thought it was enveloped in the corona of the sun.
Yeah, it is. I think that's exactly what it's doing. It's enveloped in corona.
There's our square sun.
Yeah, the square sun. So 1/6 the size of the sun would make it about a little larger than Jupiter. Yeah, so, but it's obviously still active. That's why the sun reacts to it, and the corona is actually enveloped around it. So it's obviously generating an electric field. It obviously still has a strong enough magnetic field to interact with the sun.
Yeah, this was one more photograph that he enhanced a little bit, and again, you can see how the object is pulling, I guess, plasma or pulling energy, or it's trapped within this. This part of the corona.
These objects are attracted to the sun. And there's a reason why they are attracted to the sun, and that is because they can draw electric potential energy from the sun. So they have less electric potential energy than the sun does. So they seem to be attracted to that. And so this object has obviously come in very close to the sun and is probably draining energy off it. It's like I've been saying for many months now, this is what they do to the sun. They drain its energy. And remember, we had that evidence from the photographs that you took as well, I think on the 10th, on May 10th, where we could see an object embedded in the sun itself. So they can do that. They can actually be embedded right into the surface of the sun. This one isn't quite there yet.
Yeah, you could obviously see that that's a solid object. I mean, any way you look at it, there you can absolutely 100% see. It's not a lens flare.
No, it's not. Definitely not.
Now, where was I here? Yeah, and I'm just going through some of the enhancements that Big Al did, trying to show that it is definitely a solid object. This is kind of odd too, looking at this square sun and looking at this nice yellow border all around it.
It does have a border. You're right. I'm not sure what that is. It could be to do with the device itself. I'm not sure if because don't forget, it's a square, so it has to be a device. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Now, in this photograph that he worked on, he has a big object circled and then something else, and it says you can just make out the planet at the back. Note all of the planet's debris, and then right below he has this planet is extremely large. Not the shading which highlights, or I meant note the shading which highlights the object's size.
Okay, so obviously he thinks there's oh yes, there's another one there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, see, they're being hidden in, really can't see it that well. I mean, I could make it out on my screen, but I mean, they're obviously being hidden in the corona, the brightness of the sun.
Yeah.
And again, that's probably the reason for all of the damn chemtrailing.
Exactly.
Now I'll go ahead and I'll zoom this in. It's very, very hard to see these objects, but there is one right there. There is a perfectly spherical object there.
Yeah, it's a little one. Yeah. Don't forget, the smaller they are, the more powerful they are.
And once again, this has this real bright, heavy, illuminated border around the square sun. Yeah, I'm gonna have to work with these photographs a little bit too, and maybe lighten them up a little bit and see if we can't catch more detail of what is there.
He says this is a man-made, as it is square. Exactly. You can tell.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah, and don't forget, these simulators are designed to produce diffuse light around them, around the edges, in order to hide these objects. It's done on purpose. So that may be what we are seeing as well. It's diffuse light around the simulator that's blocking our view of the object as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
But still, it's getting difficult to actually block them nowadays.
Yeah, then
they're getting very
image,
visible.
Yeah, this image, you can see the object. You can definitely see that object back there. There's no doubt about it. The bigger object, clearly visible.
Yes.
And then what do we have down here?
It looks like a couple of objects there.
Yeah.
There's look at the holes. The moment you see the cloud with a hole, I would say immediately that brown dwarf stars, and there's quite a few. There are at least 4 of them there, maybe more. My goodness. And we were talking in the previous live stream about how they cluster.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
And that's what we see there, a cluster of them.
And this is just this was the gamma test that he put it through. And sure enough, it went right through the gamma test with flying colors, meaning, hey, listen, this is a solid object.
Yes.
No doubt about it. Not a lens flare, not a camera artifact, not a refraction, whatever they want to say. And, you can see these other smaller objects. He didn't circle them in this photograph, but you could clearly see them. They're small, but they may be further away. It's hard to say. It's that distance is just, it is really hard to say.
Yes.
And there we go with our nice border around the square sun.
Sun, yes. Well, if we needed any more evidence that they are using sun simulators, we just got it.
Yeah, right there. Look, perfect square.
Yes. Square sun.
I'd like to see that damn thing. I would really like to see what that object is. Now, this was a real good photograph here. A value inverted, he has it labeled. And this is going to give us we could actually see something, these little dark patches on this object. But this clearly shows you very well its attachment. Its attachment to the sun.
Yes, we can see it. It actually looks like it's inside the sun's corona, and it's like the corona is stretching all the way around this object. And it's just amazing. It tells us that it's a star. Only a star would be comfortable, if you know what I mean, inside the corona. It's extremely hot inside the corona of a star. It's 2 million degrees.
Yeah, because if it wasn't, we would see this type of situation constantly with Mercury. And we don't.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, Mercury doesn't go that close to the sun, but Mercury, remember, sheds some of its surface just by coming close enough. And yet these stars are comfortable in there. I mean, they don't break apart. They've been here for years. The first one we saw in 2007 went right up into the sun's corona, traversed the sun in the sun's corona, and came back out again. And it did it over and over again. It keeps coming back. So these objects are stars. That's how we can tell as well that they are stars, because they want to be in that environment. They want to absorb energy from the sun. So it's just amazing. It's so fascinating what we have discovered that is happening in the solar system.
Yeah, these were very, very, very good pictures. I'm still amazed at looking at these photographs. And just like I was saying of the large striped blue dwarf, having that debris or that gassiness coming off of it. In the other photographs, it was coming off from the top edge, and then the rocky debris was flowing down this way. This seems to be completely opposite, where it has actually enveloped itself, you know, into the energy of the sun, into the corona of the sun. This is just, this is truly amazing. And I mean, if you think about it, I mean, this may be a little off the wall for me to say, but we're actually making history on this little YouTube channel. We're making history. We're actually showing things that professional astronomers and astrophysicists won't put themselves on the line to talk about.
Exactly.
You know, if we didn't have the big cover-up situation going on around the world, any astronomer or astrophysicist or scientist would be doing backflips to show the world this information.
Exactly.
And that would be if the information wasn't trying to be, you know, covered up.
That's right. Yes, it's an enormous cover-up, and basically we are the only ones doing this. You and I. You doing the astronomical observations, and I am doing the astrophysical work.
Yes, I agree. Now, you know, this photograph here, this photograph I took the other day. Now, I was just taking a few quick pictures of the sun first thing in the morning, and I don't bother in the afternoon, but I usually take my photographs in the morning by 9 a.m., and then I start photographing just around 6:30 p.m. to a little after like 7:30 p.m. This photograph was taken in the morning, and I've already touched it up a little bit with some contrast and some color, because immediately upon me taking the photograph, I noticed this object right here, discolored, but it's there.
Yes, it's a dirty yellow color, isn't it?
Right there.
Yes, and that reminds me that we often see clouds on Earth with that color, and I wonder if that's the object that's emitting that dirty yellow color that's giving the clouds that particular color.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
I thought I would show this this photograph because I just took this 2 days ago, and I just got to it to analyze it a little bit, but I noticed that object in the photograph, and this is the original photograph.
Okay.
Right
Don't
there.
forget the sun is square there as well.
Yeah, it's got a weird shape to it, like a big headlight in the sky. But as you can see, this is the original photograph. And I noticed, I said, okay, what is that right there? What is that? And then as I, touched it up a little bit, brought out some color and contrast, and bingo.
Wow.
There it is.
There it is. Yes.
So you can see very easily, ladies and gentlemen, what the light of the sun does. They blind you with this big object, so you can't see. You can't see back here. And there you go.
Yes. I think the combination of the haziness in the atmosphere and the diffuse light from the sun simulators, that's what they've been using to cover up these objects. But they're getting more and more, they're emitting more and more light, I think, so.
Yeah, no, this was just hours after sundown, and I took this photograph from the back of my house facing due west, and all of a sudden, the whole sky just lit up.
Wow, and it's red. It's very red. Yes.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and this was just before the sun was going down. And I was but you could see they had chemtrailed the living hell out of the sky hours before. And you can see how hazy it is. But then there was this big black line going straight through the sky. And to visualize it with your own eyes, not through a camera, it just looked really eerie. It looked very, very odd. And there were some people down below in the back of the house. They were all looking up, and I was watching them pointing directly at the sky, so I wasn't privy to their actual conversation, but this was a further view. So you can see that black line right above the sun.
Yes.
Is there any birds in there? Oh, look. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just made another discovery, big discovery. We're now looking at 2 devices. These are 2 devices in the sky. You are the first people on Earth to visualize these devices. Look at that. In perfect synchronicity, those have to be UFOs. They have to be a device.
Yes, it's a natural device.
Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think these devices are? Can somebody in the chat please tell me those are UFOs? Those are devices, extraterrestrial devices. What do you think, Doc? You think those are devices?
Well, they definitely organic flying machines.
Yeah, with feathers. Oh my, hold on.
They biological devices.
There's another one. Ladies and gentlemen, we are making groundbreaking. We're seeing groundbreaking information right now.
Is there a string attached to that one?
He might be carrying something. Those are very large. Those are very large hawks. We have a lot of red-tailed hawks, and those big ugly birds called turkey buzzards. They're about the size of a human being.
Sure.
And their wingspans are probably, I'd have to say 4 to 5 feet. Their wingspan. When you see them on the side of the road eating a dead animal, they are really ugly, but they are massive. and they basically just soar through the sky. And yeah, those are the devices that we're currently looking at. Maybe we shouldn't make fun like that.
Well,
yeah, and see, this was the other photograph that it's kind of mixed up there.
Yeah.
But this is what I was showing. I don't know if anybody could really see that too much. Oh, yeah, my Lord, there are more devices.
Oh my. What are those?
More.
Yeah.
Those devices are always in my picture. Maybe I should start sending these pictures into MUFON. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I guess, you know, we are making some really, really good discoveries as far as taking photographs. I wanted to show everybody real quick while we're here. I had a gentleman, he sent these photographs in through our Facebook, Planet X News Facebook page. And absolutely wild looking pictures. You know, now I'm not sure if that would be, you know, a ghost image from the sun, but they are really spectacular looking pictures, kind of like a postcard. And I mean, you know, nowadays, you know, I don't know, you know, you just never know what you're looking at. You don't know if you're looking up in the sky and your mind's playing tricks on you, the camera's playing tricks on you, or that thing is really there. You know, so we can only continue to view the photographs, view the video, and then try to make an intelligent decision from there. Now,
yeah, what I find fascinating is the color of the sky. That is just not natural, Scott.
Yeah, that's
yeah. So it's so red that the only way the sky can be red if it's being illuminated by a red light. So we have to have a red light emitting object close enough to the Earth to be able to produce this effect.
It is a pretty effect. You know, and I've been all over the world, and I used to do a lot of business in the Caribbean and the Bahamas, and I've been all over the Virgin Islands, and I've seen some of the most breathtaking sunsets ever. But never in my life, all my years of traveling to these areas, I have never seen photographs or images with my own eyes of the skies with these burnt colors in them. And I've taken the pictures myself over the past several months. I've seen it with my own eyes. So it's not something that trick photography or whatever. You know, once again.
Don't forget that the sun was yellow there.
Yeah.
How can a yellow sun, if the light is coming off the sun, produce red clouds? It's not possible, Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
The sun has to be redder than the clouds for the clouds to be that red. Same thing there.
Yep, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool picture. Doc, if you could go ahead and speak about this picture for just a minute. There is someone knocking at my door. Let me go answer that.
Okay. All right. So what I see there is again the red sky. It's just not possible. The yellow sun the sun is yellow. How can it produce a red sky around it? It's just not possible. If we were to have red clouds, then the sun would have to look red. We do have a small image there, but I'm not sure if that's a real object. It is about the same color as the sun, so it could be a lens flare. But it's just amazing that we're getting skies of this color. In fact, this was what started me investigating this, because I was looking at the sky and I was seeing how red the clouds were. And I just thought, this is impossible. How is this possible? And then I started looking on the internet to see if other people were seeing this. And that's what started me investigating and led me to all kinds of things. And it led me to being here right now. And you can see there's a bit of purple there as well. There's some orange around the sun. So, yeah, it's very surprising.
Yeah, I'm back. It's pretty amazing. Yes, I have the most lovely little old lady neighbor, and she's always making baked goods. And
oh, that's nice.
Yeah, she knocks. She sees my car. She knows I'm home, and
okay,
she just brought some brownies.
Wow, isn't that lovely?
Yeah, I kind of made a joke there, and I said, "Is there anything extra in these brownies?" And she just kind of looked at me like I'm crazy, and I may no longer be getting any of these fresh baked goods, because I don't think she understood what I meant.
Oh, Scott, yeah, that's a pity.
Yeah, I'll just tell her, I'll say, listen, I'm under a lot of stress, and, don't bother with me.
No, you're just joking.
Yeah, we're going to take a couple quick looks at these images. And these were, ladies and gentlemen, these were the original images that I captured before I sent them off to Prep Aussie. And Alan did a good job of bringing that image out. But, I had cropped this image, and it kind of made it a little bit smaller. But these were some of the original images, and these were taken in black and white. So I was trying to use the black and white photography to bring out the objects a little bit more. Yeah. And lo and behold, there you go.
There's a lot of structure on it. I don't know what that is. It will be interesting to find out what that actually is. But if these are brown dwarf stars, don't forget they will have things on them. Gaseous envelope, debris attached to them. So it could be some of that.
Yeah, these were a little bit more clearer. But because it was enveloped in either the sun's corona, atmospheric conditions from here on Earth, whatever it is, I mean, it did come out a little cloudy, but I mean, there's not much more I can do. I try to do the best that I can to get the photographs when I can get them. And this was one of my original photographs. And this photograph, all I did was just added that sepia or Sophia filter to it.
Yes.
And here, I was able to see a much more defined object right here. And it was pretty neat. And once again, you can see our beautiful square sun.
Yes.
Or whatever that is. The sun simulator.
Yes, the square sun. Yes, they have them in different shapes. The first ones I noticed were hexagonal, but they have these square ones now. But they do give off a lot of light. I mean, I can tell you that much. They're blinding, and they are hot as hell. When I'm trying to take these photographs, I mean, it literally burns my face. My goodness.
And I wear really, really, really dark sunglasses because it just blinds me. I wear a baseball hat, and I pull the brim of the baseball hat down real far over my eyes, trying to block out everything, because sometimes I can't see what I'm actually photographing because of the light, the glare. And then I have to wait till I'm done, and then go load the photographs into my computer, and then have a peaceful look at them. But they are definitely amazing. Definitely no lens flare or camera anomaly. That much is a fact. If it is, I've never seen one like that before. And this one was a little hazy also. But you can clearly see there's an object there. And it's a big one.
Yeah, it is.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Let me just get out of this screen sharing. So what do you think of those photographs, Doc? Those are pretty
those
amazing.
Were just fascinating. It's just unbelievable that we all get. You have a knack for catching these objects, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I've been photographing the sun and figuring out ways to do it other than using the, well, I don't want to say the old school way of using actual sun filters, because what people don't understand, ladies and gentlemen, if you put one of these telescopic sun filters on a telescope and you zoom in and you get that view of the sun, all you're going to get is this big yellow ball. Everything else around it is darkened and blackened out. So that's not the type of photography that we want. That's not the technique that you have to use. And I've argued this time and time again, that, you know, some amateur astronomer will come and say, oh, well, I put my sun filter on my expensive $5,000 telescope and I didn't see crap. All I saw was the outline of the sun. Well, your filter did its job. It blocked out everything around the sun, and you were just looking at a big yellow ball. But that's not what we want to do. We want to have the sun illuminate the object somewhat. We want to have the opportunity to filter back the rays of the sun and see what we can capture. That's the technique that I use.
Yes.
And it seems to work. You know,
Definitely.
and I had a blue filter developed for me, and it's kind of like an indigo blue, a little bit darker, almost similar to the blue color of your Rogue Physicist logo there. And that was made for me by a friend of mine who works for an optometrist, and he makes glasses. And, you know, I mean, I'm going back and forth. I'm thinking, okay, the colors of the spectrum, blah, blah, blah. You know, what color would be perfect to block out the rays of the sun, but yet allow me to see what's around it. And I experimented with different colors of the spectrum. And the best colors that I found were red and blue. Those two colors, especially the blue, really knocks out the rays of the sun, and it allows me to see what is there. And the May 12th, whenever I took the second set of photographs of that big blue striped object, I actually had the telescope set up and I had it facing directly towards the sun at about 6:30 p.m. My cell phone rang and I went and took a call. I was only gone for about 5 or 6 minutes. And when I came back, I looked through the eyepiece and I'm like, what is that? What is that black circle? And I tried to adjust everything and it wouldn't go away. So I took things apart, and then here it literally burnt and melted a hole in the plastic filter. And that was coming directly from the sun. So what I'm thinking is that wasn't the sun. That had to be something magnified to burn a hole, melt a hole a little bit smaller than a dime, straight through the blue filter. So it ruined it.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of stuck. You know, I mean, I had that specially made, but I'll have to figure it out, you know, see if I can get another one made. But I couldn't explain other than that power coming from the sun. It had to be magnified. So maybe it was, I was looking directly into the sun simulator, and that beam of light, you know, because it was directly into the telescope, directly coming through the eyepiece. And I was trying to adjust things, and maybe if I didn't take that call, you know, it wouldn't have happened. But maybe that was just an experiment right there in itself, showing me that what they're doing up there with a sun simulator, how they're magnifying the sun, showed me the power of just 5 minutes of that telescope sitting in the same place, and that light beaming directly on the front of it. It burnt a hole, melted a hole perfectly right through it, all the way through. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the photographs you've taken of that blue-brown dwarf is just out of this world.
Yeah, it actually is out of this world. Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and end this live stream. I know that you're all probably used to these 2.5 hour live streams, but I have some work that I want to get done today, and it is getting a little bit late for the doctor, and she has some writing that she's going to be doing over the next hour or so. But we will be back again tomorrow. I will have the notification for the next live stream up on the Planet X News channel. And something else I wanted to mention to everyone: if you are not subscribed to my original channel, which is the Nibiru channel, after this live stream, go over to the Nibiru channel. Make sure you subscribe to that channel, because next week we're going to start live streaming from that channel also. So it is best to be subscribed and have your notifications set up for both of these channels. God forbid anything occurs where some type of faction tries to take one of these channels down, you won't be left in the dark. So, ladies and gentlemen, immediately after this, go over there to the Nibiru channel. Make sure that you are subscribed. And I'll tell you what I'll do is give me a few minutes, and I will put a direct link into the description box under this live stream. And all you have to do is click on it, go over there and subscribe. Also, our Planet X News Facebook page. If you are not subscribed to that Facebook page, Planet X News, there's a link for that already in the description box. Get over there, click on the link, follow the page, and we're going to be, well, I always add a lot of information to it, but it also gives you ways to send your photographs in if you don't want to send them in by email. And the doctor is going to be monitoring the Planet X News Facebook page from today on. I will be monitoring it also. And we're going to try to, you know, have a team effort here where we can get back to you a lot faster. Now, whenever I respond or the doctor responds, it's going to show up as Planet X News. So as a surprise, you may not know if you're talking with me or the doctor. But if you are talking to her, she'll let you know. And keep those photographs coming in, keep your video coming in, and keep an eye in the sky. That's all that we can do at this particular time, keeping the flow of information coming in. And spread the word. Share the videos with your friends and family members on Facebook and Twitter. Whatever means you have, get the word out. Get the word out. Doctor, any last words?
Well, thank you, Scott. I'd just like to say thank you, like I always do, for letting me talk and share the truth.
Well, that sounds very, very good. Very, very good. I'm going to get some work done myself, ladies and gentlemen, because I see right off the bat that we have an increase in earthquake activity pretty much going around the world right now. I'm kind of concerned with what's going on in the state of California on the west coast of the U.S. And we have these sunspots moving towards us over the next 72 hours. They're probably going to be pretty close to Earth facing. We are already seeing intermittent cell phone problems, electrical problems, internet problems. And I think over the course of the next 3 to 5 days, maybe even a little bit more, we may see an increase in cell phone loss, electrical power loss, internet loss. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We're already seeing it. And this is going to be directly attributed to what is happening on the sun right now with those big sunspots, those filament releases, those solar flares. So I'm going to be paying very, very close attention to what's going on there. I'll probably put out a report if I see something very unusual. But ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank all of you for all of your support, for being here, for backing us up, and make sure you keep an eye in the sky. That's the best that we can do. This is Scott and the Doctor from Planet X News. Thank you all for watching.